Hey y'all, I'm back and I have more creepy stories. I've read a couple of these because I wanted to make sure this was going to be good, and I think it is. This says, people have read it. What are some of your unexplainable and creepy experiences? Only had one that was truly beyond for me. I was 19 at the time. Buddy of mine was on leave in the USMC and he was visiting. Going to sleep, I let him sleep in my bed and I took the couch. The couch was one of those L-shaped sectionals. The short part of the L was at my feet, and there was an ottoman in front of the couch in that little area. Had one of those weird sleeps where I woke up before opening my eyes. When I opened them, I saw a creature standing right next to the ottoman, like within arm's length. There was a light on in the hallway, so it was like a silhouette from the light behind it. Not enough light from the street light to make it super clear from the window behind me. It was about 3 or 4 feet tall. All I can remember from its features is it had super greasy hair covering most of its face. I saw it as soon as I opened my eyes, and I just closed my eyes, back shut, and turned around to face the back of the couch/window. I don't know how to describe it, but it was like the moment I saw it, my entire body was filled with terror and dread. As soon as I turned around, I heard like a loud whisper in my ear/thoughts. I saw you see me, don't act like you didn't. Even more terrified. I just stayed silent, didn't move, and basically was praying until I eventually fell asleep. At some point, I heard my buddy wake up and use the bathroom and lay back down. I probably would have forgotten about it, except the next morning when eating breakfast, my friend mentioned that he woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and felt like the house was haunted. Gave me the heebie-jeebies. I've had sleep paralysis, lucid dreams, false awakened dreams, and this wasn't like any of those. The only truly supernatural thing I've ever seen, and I can't explain away. No, because if I saw like a greasy-haired gremlin, I would think it was my friend, but you said it was 3 or 4 feet tall. So that eliminates them, I think. When I was 15, I had a dream that I was looking up through the inside of a car and a woman walked past, stopped to look down at me, and gave me a smile. I moved countries to go to college and studied mechanical engineering, which required some hands-on work. In my second year, when I was 17, I was tasked with stripping a Mini for parts, and after tipping it onto its roof, as underneath stripping the handbrake cable, I don't understand what's happening, whatever. You're working on a car, I think. I looked up and there was exactly the same woman who happened to be in my class from my dream 2 years previously, smiling at me. Later that month, we were having lunch when she mentioned that she had looked down because she had the weirdest feeling. I told her about my dream and it turned out she had had the same dream from the other angle. That kind of stuff is what freaks me. These are like glitches. Like that's a glitch in the Matrix. But those are the ones that freak me out the most because it's not just like you who experienced it. The fact that there was another person and the fact that you didn't know each other prior. What the hell? Not long after my husband and I were newly married, he was taking a shower in our ensuite bathroom while I was in the laundry room. He yells for me, and when I go to see what he needed, he asks me what I was doing in there. I tell him I've been in the laundry room. He says he saw a woman through the shower curtain. He makes me promise not to tell anyone because he thinks they'll think he's crazy. I don't say a word, and a few weeks later, my sister and nephews come to stay for the weekend. The youngest was about 4 years old at the time. My husband goes someplace with his dad and brother, and it's after dark. My nephew's watching TV while my sister and I are in the kitchen. The hallway leading from the kitchen goes to my room. The bedroom door is closed, and my nephew says, "I thought you said Uncle was gone." We asked him what he means, and he tells us that he saw someone come through my bedroom door. Needless to say, I didn't go back to our room until my husband came home, and we told my sister about the woman in the bathroom. Your house is very haunted. Hate to tell you. When visiting my family a few towns over, I had a feeling I had to find my brother. He chose a rotten path. Maybe he was hungry or something, and we can have dinner together before I left town. As I drove around town searching for him, I had this gut-wrenching, sick feeling that if I didn't find him, he was going to pass away. I'm not gonna like where this is going. I kid you not, for a few hours I looked around town at the nearby ponds, lakes, bridges, and streets, but I didn't run into him. The very next morning, the police informed my parents that my brother had passed away. That's, oh my God. I feel like our intuition is just so powerful, and it makes me, I hate it. I'm very sorry, and I hope you know that that is not your fault. My husband and I rented a house before we bought the one we're in now. Nothing weird ever happened until one day, my husband's phone flew off the table it was on, did a flip in the air, and landed on the floor. That was first of many strange things that happened in that house. I was alone in the house once. I was sitting on the bed on my phone. I needed the loo, so I put my phone down on the bed and used the bathroom. When I came back, my phone was nowhere to be seen. I looked everywhere, freaking out. Eventually I found it. Inside the duvet cover, which was fastened. We got a cat and activity immediately stopped. Yeah, that's a ghost. Did cats, wait, yeah, because I think cats scare off ghosts. I think I might be making that up. I hope you guys do not listen to like 90% of the things that I say because I'm probably making it up. 12 years ago, on a road trip back from a Blink-182 concert in LA, we were driving east through Arizona, headed back to Ohio, a 33-hour road trip because the other guy just loved Blink so much that somehow we had to do this massively long road trip just for one concert. But that's neither here nor there. The real point was spending time with these two girls, lol. I was driving at the point this happened. Middle of nowhere, middle of the night, we come to a stop behind a bunch of cars waiting on some construction. The four of us were talking for a bit as we sat there, two girls, two guys, and I distinctly remember rotating yellow lights on the construction vehicles and lots of red lights coming from the real car lights. Or rear car lights, not real. You know, sometimes this whole reading thing ain't easy. A few songs played while we were joking, laughing, and one girl was smoking. Eventually we were like, haven't we been here for fucking ever? And we started looking around. It's construction, who knows what the delay is, so we wait. Gets on 20 minutes, 30 minutes, eventually I'm like, are the construction cars even moving? I get out of the car, there are orange cones lined up everywhere, I'm picking my way through. I shit you not, there is nobody in the construction vehicles. They're just sitting there. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? The traffic jam is pointless, we need to just go around. And I look at the other cars to try and tell the drivers, but I shit you not, there were nobody in any of the cars. We had just been sitting at a traffic jam in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night behind a bunch of cars in construction vehicles that were on, but nobody was in them. I jumped back in the car and we took off like a bat out of hell. But to this day, I have no clue what that was about. Not a hallucination. I wasn't asleep. All four of us saw this. Looking in other cars and seeing nobody in any of them, I didn't stop to see if there were tracks in the sand or anything, just fuck that. No, I don't like that. I really don't like that because what's going on? Were they all kidnapped? Where did everybody go? I was standing in a well-lit courtyard right by a road in a small village with a group of friends. There was some kind of tamed raven that had been flying from person to person all night. It was beside a live music venue, but nobody knew who it belonged to. Nobody local had ever seen it before. Suddenly, it flew from someone's shoulder right into the path of a car. My friend and I all saw this bird hit the front left wheel, a thud, an explosion of feathers, then disappear. We gasped, reacted as you would, turned to each other, and then we saw the raven on a table behind us, hop onto someone else's shoulder. Untouched, unbothered, the same unusually friendly behavior as before. All my friends saw the same thing. Only around half of us were drinking at all, and I was stone cold sober. I've never been able to explain exactly what happened there. A horrible, uneasy feeling came over me. Something didn't line up correctly at all in the series of events, and I felt terribly aware of that fact in a way I could not shake. Were there two? There could have been two birds, who fucking knows? When I was a child, I went skiing with my school for a week. We were sleeping by group of around 6 children on bunk beds. Then, in the middle of the night, I saw a grayish white figure skiing down an invisible mountain in the air, in the pitch black room. It scared me, but I thought it was just my imagination. Then, my friend sleeping in the bed under mine kicked my mattress and asked me if I'd seen something. We realized that we had both seen the same dude skiing in the air. You're both hallucinating? I don't know. I hate these, honestly. They're like my brain is mush right now, like reading these. One particular conversation I had with my sister's childhood friend will always stay with me. My sister and I went over to her friend's house for the first time. We were 13. Her friend's mom was super nice, but in kind of a forced way. Her mom used to be an addict. She had recently gotten sober, super religious, and maybe a bit too nice. No problem though, because it was better than the alternative. We, my sister, her friend's mom, and me had dinner together and some polite conversation. After that, we hung out in the friend's bedroom for the next few hours, listening to music and just chatting. My sister and I exchanged some looks because Stacy, the friend, was supposed to have a younger sister and a father at home, but we had never seen them. I casually asked, "Hey, where's your sister, Ashley?" Stacy: "Oh, she's with one of her boyfriends, but I don't know which one." Okay, her sister's 11, but obviously the family was not too concerned about this. Eventually I asked, "Where's your dad?" Stacy: "He's upstairs on his computer. He has a porn addiction." Me: "Shit, I'm so sorry. That's terrible." Stacy shrugged her shoulders and in a lighthearted, no big deal delivery said, "Well, at least he's not going after me or my sister anymore." There was not a trace of sadness or anger in her voice, just a matter of fact. Oh my god, that caught me. That caught me so off guard. My sister and I kind of died in her room that night. We had heard of child abuse, but we had never personally met someone who had been abused. And we could tell that Stacy just wanted to keep the mood light that night, but damn. We had found out later that Stacy and her sister were foster children for some time, while their parents went to jail and eventually into treatment. The girls came back to their parents because their parents were working on their issues. Hopefully, Stacy and Ashley are doing well today. Holy fuck. Yeah. Oh my god, I hope with everything that I have that they are okay. Wow, that was the fucking that was, if you couldn't tell from the way I read that, that was not where I expected. No, that's horrific. When I was in 5th grade, I went to science camp on a mountain in California. We had a night hike that was supposed to teach us about the different cells in our eyes, so we did it without any flashlights at all. Our eyes just adjusted to the starlight, and it was actually pretty cool. Until the counselors made us walk a stretch of the path alone, one by one. We were 10, and at least some of us were still afraid of the dark, me. So I was far too anxious to listen properly to the instructions. One counselor went ahead through the bushes and radioed for the other to start sending kids. My turn comes up, and I drag my feet down the path, until I hit a fork. I vaguely remember the counselor saying something about it, or was I remembering wrong? Which way was I supposed to go? Was it even a fork, or was I just not able to see properly in the dark? Mind you, this was a pitch black mountain in California with nothing around for miles other than the camp. I didn't want to get lost. I looked behind me, briefly considering going back the way I came and admit that I was a dumbass who didn't listen, but when I turned back to the fork, there was a man standing there. He was Asian, wearing wire frame glasses and a white t-shirt. It was barely 50 degrees on the mountain. I wasn't scared. I felt no malice from him. If anything, I was relieved to not be alone in the dark anymore. He gestured for me to go one way, so I did, rejoined the rest of my class, and the council radioed to send the next kid. I didn't think anything of it for the rest of the trip. It took me until I was on the bus ride home, reflecting on the hike, to realize that I had never seen him before. He wasn't one of the counselors leading the hike. He never came out with us, and he never emerged from the bushes after all the kids had done their solo walk. I have no idea who or what he was. And somebody replied, guardian angel, and I'm like, yeah, because there's no way there was just a random man hiking at the same time as you in the pitch black, nonetheless. A random man hiking in the pitch black that nobody else saw? No, I don't know. My aunt and uncle used to own an old house that was almost 100 years old. They were getting ready to sell it and needed help I can't say this word. Renovating. You guys don't even want to know how many times I've tried to read that. Renovate. I keep going renovate it. Needed help renovating it, so I volunteered and spent a couple weekends at their house. One day, I was doing my laundry in their basement. As I was getting ready to head back upstairs, I saw a white misty figure that was probably around 5'3", move like 5 or 6 feet in front of me from the bathroom to one of the bedrooms. A few months later, I told my cousin about that experience. She grew up in that house and her bedroom was in the basement. She went pale and told me a bunch of stories that happened to her, one of them being that she saw an old lady sitting in one of the chairs down there, and a split second later, vanished. I don't know what's worse, like old people ghosts or kids. I think kids, yeah. Oh my god, okay, this says, I've had terrible sleep paralysis sometimes. I've seen so many different things, just like a list. Tall dark man in my doorway, short dark man that ran on all fours in my doorway, squid by the side of my bed, glowing orbs above me, woman in a wedding dress walking in the next room, glowing centipedes in my blanket, glowing ants on the floor, a dog on my floor, a tall man at the foot of my bed, a red and black spider on my nightstand, and I think that's it. Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. If I saw a squid next, a squid. I loved playing basketball and would always go up to the basketball court in the apartments I lived at. I would only leave it when it got dark enough I couldn't see. I stopped going up there because I went through a traumatic experience there when I was 11. When I was 16, I decided to face my trauma and go back. I was playing basketball and decided to leave because it was getting dark and the court is almost completely surrounded by woods. As I turned to leave, I saw something move, so I turned to look. Just at the edge of the woods, I saw 11-year-old me standing there crying. I ran and refused to go there unless it's completely daylight outside or I'm with multiple people. First of all, though, I'm proud of you for being like, I'm gonna face my trauma and I'm gonna go back because this is something that I love and you deserve to love it. Even if you did have a traumatic experience at that place, you deserve to like replace that experience with something good. I'm like, maybe you seeing your past self was like a way of you being able to like let go or like saying goodbye to that trauma. Regardless, it's terrifying and creates trauma in itself, but I'm just trying to help. I don't know, I'm not helping. My friend and I were driving home on a clear night. We came around a bend and I saw what looked to be an old man, red flannel with jeans, bent over in the road walking slowly. We both screamed in unison and she slammed on the brakes. Were you about to hit him? Why did you scream? I had closed my eyes because I thought for sure she would hit him. When I opened my eyes, it was a buck. I looked at her and she said, I swear to God, that was a man. She described him identical to what I saw. We were shaking and the buck stared at us for a second before running off. The buck's like, what? That is terrifying. And the fact that somebody replied, I don't like this. Somebody replied and said, devil, period. At least that's what my parents said about their own experience, and I later also thought my husband and I may have encountered. Decades ago, my parents were driving through a mountainous region near I'm not gonna be able to say this, Guanajuato, Mexico. They had been driving all day straight through from Houston. A relative was doing very poorly and they didn't expect him to have very long left to live. My parents couldn't find a flight out together on short notice, so they quickly decided to drive. A couple of friends came along to share the drive, though from what I remember of the story, my dad drove the entire time. Anyways, it was very late and very dark. They hadn't had dinner or snacks or something and were rather peckish, so we were making comments like what I wouldn't give for a burger, etc. Then my dad says, you know what I really want? A chili raspa, a snow cone. And lo and behold, up ahead on the dark winding mountain road, there was a man pedaling along on his raspa cart. It's like a snow cone cart. My dad slowed and everyone in the van had gone silent. It was an honest to goodness raspa guy out there in the middle of nowhere, middle of the night. What the fuck? Don't stop, he heard someone say. Don't look and don't stop. He trained his eyes on the road ahead, carefully going around the pedaling man and sped up. Later, they all denied having said not to stop. They claimed to have been focused on the strange and unlikely sight of a man pedaling a raspa cart out in the middle of nowhere. So that was the devil? Is that what you're saying? Like, because it's not like those girls were like, you know what sounds really good right now? An old man in a flannel walking in the middle of the road. So I'm like, what is that? How do they relate? I don't know. Okay, I think we're gonna read maybe 2 more. We'll be done. My ex and I were in DFW watching a parade in the old cow town. I saw a coffin on a stand in front of one of the old storefronts, which I thought was a weird thing to have out on display. I looked away, looked back, and it was gone. But I realized the old store was an undertaker. I was ready to dismiss it as a trick of the light or my subconscious expectations when my ex said, "That's weird. I thought I saw a coffin outside that store." Not super unsettling, but one of the few, possibly supernatural experiences I've had. The other was seeing a shadow move across the churchyard next door to my friend's house, but there was no one there. Yeah, these are like glitch, like I'm not even kidding, like 90% of these, I'm like, this is a glitch in the Matrix. I believe you that this happened, and it shouldn't have. Driving home with my stepdad one night, these black figures sprinted across the road so fast they couldn't have been human. They kind of look like those things that haunt people in their dreams. Creepiest thing ever. They just seemed so vicious. Okay, that one was really short. We'll do one more. Might as well. When I was about 5 and my brother was 3, me and my mom were just watching TV and my brother comes out and goes, "There's a woman in my room," and she was saying goodbye. I guess my mom was freaked out because she thought somebody was at his window or something, but nobody was around. My mom called my grandma because they talk often, and my grandma told her that my great-grandma Tina was being cremated that day. My mom wasn't as scared, but happy that her grandma was in her presence that day, I guess. Wait, that's like so sweet, but also so sad. A lot of stories similar to that are like just sweet because they're just coming by and be like goodbye or hello or whatever. But so sad that they passed, and then that's like the only thing you have is like their presence, their ghostly presence coming to say hello. Okay, that's all I'm gonna read for now. I hope you guys enjoy. I really liked this. I'm gonna have to save this for another video. This is just like an amazing collection of insane stories, and there's so many. So I hope you guys like this because we're gonna be reading this more often. If you guys have any crazy, I don't know, bizarre experiences that you want to share with me or the community, I'll have my subreddit link down below. You can probably just flare it as Glitch in the Matrix because honestly, this reminds me so much of that. A lot of these I feel like would fit into the Glitch in the Matrix like subreddit. This just happens to be like a thread of unexplainable things, whatever, which is kind of what a Glitch in the Matrix is. I'm rambling. Anyways, I'll have my subreddit linked, just flare it as Glitch in the Matrix. That's all I'm trying to say, but I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much. I will see you in the next one. Bye.